Hello, welcome to episode 6 of The Sassy Chef and the Good Foodie. I'm the Good Foodie.
And I'm the sassy chef.
Can you believe it's episode 6 already?
I cannot.
That's crazy. Well, how was your week? Last week?
It was
This last
busy.
weekend?
We were nonstop all week. We had 2 events Friday, 2 events Saturday. I had set up Thursday and Wednesday. It was like nonstop. What about
Yeah,
you?
I had a busy week. I set up Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. So it was busy. But this week, so I'm only setting up one day this week, and it's just roadside. So a little slower, easier week this week. What you got going this week?
I'm setting up roadside one day, no, on the base, and then we're got the caverns Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, right?
3
3
nights.
nights,
All
yeah.
right. Well, that'll be good. All right. Well, tonight we have special guests with us. We've got our husbands. I've got my husband, Josh.
And I have my husband, Jeremy.
So thanks for joining us tonight, guys.
Well, thank you for having us.
So, Sassy Chef, we don't do this by ourselves, do we?
We do not. I could not do it by myself.
I
would be
couldn't do
lost.
this without Josh helping me. Not just the physical labor part, but the thinking through things and the making decisions, bouncing ideas off, and just being there for the rushes.
Oh yeah, and him doing all the paperwork and the hard part that I hate doing. So he takes care of it all.
It's teamwork, right?
It is. I almost think he's more of the team than I am sometimes.
Well, I hope they know how appreciated they are.
Yes.
So, what do y'all think, Josh? What's your thoughts on working on the food truck?
It's hot, it's hard, but can be very rewarding and fun.
Yeah. What about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, it's got its good days and its bad days.
Yeah.
It can be when we're busy and there's a lot of people and we're serving a lot of people and we're kicking butt in the food truck. It can be a lot of fun, but when you have the ups and downs of the food truck world and you have a slow event, then it's not so great sometimes.
Right. When you're making money, it's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Yes, it's always more fun when you make money.
So, I've done some events lately that I thought would be pretty good events, and I was pretty disappointed in the turnout. Have you had that experience?
We have here recently as well.
I've had some good events too, but I've had a few that just weren't quite what I needed it to be. Do you have an idea? Like, do you have minimums? I mean, do you charge them? Do you ask for a minimum when you go set up somewhere?
We do ask for a minimum on some of the events. We're not very good at sticking to it. Sometimes we don't, and we get like we.
How is that received? Like when somebody calls you once you set up and you say, "Oh, I have this whatever minimum." How do they respond to that?
For the most part, they're okay with it.
Okay.
I mean, it's just like learning to stick to the minimum and what events need a minimum and what don't, or should all of the events have a minimum?
I need to do better with that. I've avoided stating a minimum, but I've just had too many events lately to where I should have asked for a minimum. They say, "Oh, we're going to have 200 people there," and you get there and there's 30.
That's what we had double events this weekend. One of them should have had a minimum because we weren't the only food truck like we were told. We didn't do very good, but the other event that we had was also catering, so it was a great turnout. It was good. So it was
Catering,
the minimum was met.
Catering, you're going to get your money because that's a predetermined thing, and that's why I like the catering end of the business.
And we got to be open to the public as well on top of the catering, so that helped a lot too. So meeting our minimum for that wasn't hard. But
Well, these event managers, they always have an overly optimistic tone, and if you charge them, say I got to charge a minimum, they have it. You'll see how confident they are real quick. Because if they agree to it, they've got all the confidence in the world that crowd's going to show up. And if they're hesitant, I'd say you need to be hesitant.
Yeah, I mean, but some of these events, when do you know? Like you do an event every year and you pay a fee, but like you're helping them with that event. So how is it fair to pay this big fee when we're helping them as much as they're helping us? And like, where's our minimum on that?
Right. And I guess it depends on the event. Like the event that you're talking about, I do pay. I mean, that's a pretty hefty fee. And if the weather's bad, you're not going to make any sales, but you've paid for that fee a year ahead of time. Who knows what the weather's going to be, and it's just done.
Mhm.
But if the weather's good, which we've done that event for 4 years, and 3 out of the 4 years the weather's been really good. We make the sales are so big that it's worth the fee. To me,
We did an event and we paid a fee. The weather was horrible. That town did give us a refund, a complete refund. Even though we were set up one day for that event, they still gave us refunds because it wasn't a good turnout.
well, that's good that they give you a refund. I think that's rare.
I think for me, it's when we're invited out to kind of more of a private event or it's catering, it's really easy to say, here's our minimum.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's working with an event coordinator with events that are open to the public, you have this hesitation to ask for a minimum because, well, there's a dozen other food trucks behind us that will just snap that event up if we push for a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes that's not necessarily the right attitude towards it. I think trying to make sure your time is accounted for. There needs to be something done, whether it's a minimum or no fee or what have you.
Well, these event coordinators, they frequently have a different agenda than what you do. They want you to do well, but they're out to serve the public they've invited. They want a big selection. They want a whole lot for people to look at. And they're frequently will, I'm not going to call it deceive, but maybe not tell you the whole story about how many food trucks are going to be there, how many are going to be serving a similar thing to you. Um, and they always overestimate the crowd, always. But sometimes that doesn't matter. They say, we're going to be 10,000 there. Well, you get 7,000. That's still a darn good crowd, and you're going to sell a lot of stuff. But you have to, understand they've got a different goal than what we've got. They're not out just to sell food and do well. They want to see their town happy or their event well attended, and a lot of happy public. And so they're like, more that I can get, the more money I make, but also the more I serve my people what they want.
Yeah, but if they overbook, especially with the food trucks,
Mm-hmm.
We're all of us are not going to do good. So there's going to be less that comes back next year. So then there's going to be less to offer for the people next year. So then they're going to have less turnout the next year because
It's a balance.
Yeah.
And because their goal is to offer variety for their people are going to come to their event, our goal is to make money. And those goals, are sometimes opposing goals, I think, between us, just because we have different agendas.
Well, these event coordinators change frequently. A lot of times, one you have this year learns, you think, okay, I'll be good next year, and all of a sudden that person quits. You got a brand new one, and it all starts over again.
That's true. We have run into brand new event coordinators more than once this year already. So.
I've turned down an event this year. I haven't turned down a lot of events before, but I'm getting bolder about doing that because the history of the event's not real good. It's a good cause though, and there's where I struggle because it's a good cause, and I want to support these good causes in my own community. And so I feel like, well, I need to support it whether it makes money or not. But I can't keep doing that. That's not going to be a profitable business, and so you've got to find, maybe some good cause events, but not
Everyone.
good cause events. And on those good cause events, I struggle with asking for a minimum because I'm like, well, maybe I'll bring people to their event, and I'll help them. So that's where my struggle's been this year that I'm going to try to do better with next year is being more selective about what events I go to. And like what kind of crowd's going to be there? Are they going to want to eat rice bowls? Or are they going to be a hamburger, chicken finger, French fry crowd?
Funnel cake.
Yeah, funnel cakes, because I don't do those. That's not my mission. That's not my truck. So I need to be more aware of who's going to be at that event because it may be a large event, but if they're not adventurous eaters, they're not going to eat my food.
Right. It's about finding your people.
Got to find my people. Yeah. And I have found, I think, music festivals. I seem to find my people at music festivals and things. And I did a marching band contest this last weekend, and surprisingly, that was my people. I didn't anticipate that. So, yeah, I think I've just got to get smarter about finding my people and sticking to those events and focusing on those, and not do the events where you don't even cover your food costs.
And we got to be confident in asking for that minimum and the fee, and who's going to be there and how many food trucks. We can't be afraid to ask those questions because it hurts us. And these coordinators don't understand what we put in to set up at these places with our food trucks, just the gas alone for the generators. It's just, we have to be confident in what we're asking for because we have to pay for our time.
And maybe we can do a better job of guiding the event coordinators, of teaching them, more our side of it to help
We
them
should have one on
understand
here
us
so we can
better.
understand them too.
Well, let's do that. Let's do that.
I think I don't think the event coordinators realize how many people we can really feed from one truck.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the trucks that are experienced and know what they're doing. Your ticket times are low. I mean, you're serving 100 people an hour, 60 people an hour kind of thing. And I think maybe part of their problem is they see, well, we're going to have 1,000 people here, so I need 10 food trucks. And that's not the reality of it. You need like maybe 3 food trucks, 2, maybe 3 for 1,000 people. And that, from what Josh said, the lack of experience with a lot of the event coordinators, especially in this area, that's something they just don't know. And they don't think that there's training or anything to teach them other than experience, and then us, kind of pushing back a little bit on what they're asking for.
Well, they think 1,000 people showing up for a 4-hour event, that all 1,000 of them are going to eat. And we generally found that only about a third of them eat.
I think there's a formula that a third of the people are going to eat. Then you divide that by the number of food trucks, and you know how many people you could serve. And if it's less, I mean, what number would be? What number would you say? No, I'm not going to go. 75 people, 100 people, 300 people. Like, what number would you say? No, that's too many food trucks.
I think for 1,000 people, I mean, having 3 food trucks is almost too many food trucks. I really like, with 1,000 people, I like 2 food trucks and then maybe like a lemonade truck or a small truck that does just ice cream or something. But
a treat, some kind of treat.
Because I don't have sweets on my truck. Right. So if there's an ice cream truck or a dessert truck and maybe a coffee truck, and a hamburger truck, or a barbecue truck, because I'm rice bowls. And so if there was a barbecue truck or a hamburger truck and me, and then a sweet truck and maybe a lemonade, that's a good variety. But I don't really count the dessert trucks and drink trucks when I'm thinking that. I'm just counting food trucks.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a treat truck there with us or a drink truck, we're okay, that's good. But like when you get to an event and you're only supposed to be the only food truck, and then their menu is almost exactly like yours, which has happened to us several times this summer. Like, we found out, 2 or 3 events, like we'll get there and there'll be another food truck there that actually serves food, and it'd be the same as ours. Or like, maybe their menu's not exactly like ours, but our price points are so different. We still usually hold our own and do good because it's about finding your people, and they're going to support us no matter what. But still, when there's a difference in that price, if you're in makes you second guess of what you're,
If you're in an event and the people there don't know who you are, like this weekend, I was 2 counties over, and nobody knew who I was. Nobody had heard of me before.
Drive.
Yeah, hour and a half, 2-hour drive. Nobody knew who I was, and so it took a few people coming to get my food. It was a really slow start. But people started seeing it and hearing about it. And all of a sudden I had this humongous line, and everybody, it was a great night. I ended up completely selling out of food, which usually I overstock, and I rarely sell out of food. I usually stock enough to do the event twice, just in case. But I thought I had overstocked, and I completely ran out of food. But it just took time for people to figure out who I was. And I think if there was another food truck there whose price point was like half mine or 2/3, way less than mine, probably 2/3 mine. And so that's where everybody started until they started seeing my food and people were talking about my food. So the price part doesn't bother me so much if there's a cheaper truck there, because I know once I get started, my food stands for itself and stands on its own, and people come to me.
Yeah, that's with me. That's the same way, because like it kind of makes me nervous at first because
it terrifies me.
Yeah, but I never change my process to get there because people do come. Like it's like
I'm
you
not
said,
gonna
it's
lower my process.
Yeah, I'm not, because that's who I am, and I think what we put into it, it's totally worth that. But it's just like it takes a minute to people to warm up, like you said, to get there. When they do get there, they're coming, and we do good. But it's scary sometimes.
Well, I set my pricing based on that formula of 3 times your food costs, and so I feel good about where my price is. Now, if you go to an event that's got a really high fee or charging 15% or 10% or whatever, do you raise your prices to cover that percent, or do you take that out of your profit margin?
No, right now we have our prices the same all across the board, no matter where we go. But it's something we should have think about.
I do change. I raise my prices.
We've recently started charging the credit card processing fee.
Yeah.
To
have you got any blowback from that?
I've heard 2 customers say they see the sign and they say, "Oh, I'll just pay cash instead." But
That's
I've had nobody complain. So
I've not had anybody complain or fuss about it. I think people have become more accustomed to it. I think earlier on, like a year or 2 ago, there was a lot of Facebook drama and people talking about, oh, we're just going to boycott these places that charge these processing fees. They're just trying to make more money. And I'm like, no, money's not going to me.
Yeah,
I'm just funneling the money to Square. It's going to them. Your beef needs to be with the processors, but they've got to make money too. I mean, they're providing a service, and the argument was, well, that ought to be just part of your cost of goods sold. And I'm like, okay, then I can raise my prices. Well, I can do a cash discount. Instead of a card fee, let's do a cash discount. It's the same thing, just different name.
Well, it's kind of like you expect the receipt tape to be free. You expect the bag to be free. You expect that to come with it. And if we charge for it, they'll fit. But, you can only eat so much of that sort of stuff.
No.
Yeah.
I think about that. We don't charge for like extra sauce.
I don't either.
And I'll fill up a portion cup with extra ranch and throw it on their meal. And I haven't charged for that. And I wonder, like, am I losing or are we losing for not charging for that? But I'm just trying to make them happy. And I don't want to get stuck with, oh, I'm going to have to charge you $1 for that extra ranch,
I do the same thing. If they want something extra, I just throw the extra on and don't charge. And maybe I should.
Now, an extra protein I will charge.
Well, no, if they want like extra sauce or something, I don't.
Extra kimchi, extra.
Yeah.
See, because we pay for the little cups, we pay for the lids, we pay for the forks, we pay the. It's
and
it's
pennies,
all
into but it adds up. Those pennies add up.
Well, everything is added into my menu price except for the little extra cups. I don't of sauce. I don't ever add that in there. That's a possibility that somebody does that.
What hurts at the end of the night is when you run out of that sauce and you still got people still wanting it.
I need those 2 things extra sauce back. Like our kimchi the other night. Somebody just wanted to order a kimchi, and so I piled up a bowl and sold it to them. I just made up a price and sold it to them. But then I ran out of kimchi about 2 bowls short, and I was wishing I had that kimchi back. But they paid for it, so I didn't give that extra away. But yeah, I have been raising my prices to match if the percentage is higher, so I don't have to eat that fee, and it's worked for me. So
we need to.
I think pricing is something that we should be looking at more often than we do. We've kind of just set our prices and let them go for the summer, and even with the cost of our food, we're not checking back and making sure that our cost cards show everything is good to go.
I haven't updated my costs on my spreadsheet since last spring, and I'm sure it's gone up.
Yeah, us either. I do it, and I have that a book that has all that I bought, so I could put all the events in it. What it cost me for this event, what my food cost was, what it cost, the fees of this, and I used it for the first few months, and I have not touched it since.
So, do you keep a record of each event, like this many people are there, or this many food trucks were there, or it was well attended, or this event sucks? Don't do this event next year, or make sure to do this event next year.
What was the weather? You know, what was the temperature? What was
like I got one
precipitation
food truck friend who keeps up with the weather for every
I
event.
think that's really good.
I do not.
I
mean, I mentally try to, but I forget.
Yeah,
the next day, so it doesn't do me any good.
We didn't do any good at that event last year. Well, if I'd read, it was like 55 degrees and rainy.
But this year it's going to be 80 and sunny, so maybe it'll be a better event. You know, I don't know.
An after action report is important.
Yeah.
To do one after every event.
Well, we'll leave those to y'all.
Well, and then what
that.
type of crowd was there? You know, my dad used to have a saying about that. He said, a free event brings a free crowd. And there's a lot of truth to that. If they're having an event and they're giving away a lot of stuff and they're having a lot of fun for free rides, they're going to show up. They don't have money in their pocket, and we're not going to do well at that.
That's what happened Friday night. We did a trunk or treat, and it was a nice community event. Again, one of those good cause events, you know, but boy, we didn't make any money. You know, I'm not sure I broke even. Yeah, I'm not sure I broke even after I bought all that candy. So
we did that in an event in another county. It was a community event. It was like the 13th year. We thought, oh, it's going to be so many people there. They said there's hundreds of people there, you know, that I was the only food truck. We were the only food truck. But they would be giving a free plate away. So we're like, okay, you know, and there was a barbecue booth there, not a truck. So we're like, we'll be okay. What, 6 hours we were there? We sold one soda for $3.
Wow.
And that was it.
Oh,
we left early. We did not stay because there was a lot more booths there selling food. There weren't food trucks, but there were booths.
Yeah,
we selling plates, you know. So
yeah, we did an event and it was just us and pretzels. And I thought, oh, this would be good. But then, you know, I found out they're giving away pizza.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they were giving away pizza, and then the crowd didn't materialize.
Yeah, the people didn't show up. And I mean, I think the people who were there, basically the vendors, did try to come and support us and buy stuff. You know, so we maybe broke even at least. We didn't lose money, but we didn't make any money. I didn't get paid for my time.
Well, that event we sure didn't because, I mean, but I just thought 13 years. He said the vendors always do great, you know, but I'm not a vendor. I was a food truck, so it kind of, I guess, I mean, I'm still a vendor, but there were so many other people there doing food.
In economics class, you used to call it opportunity cost. The cost of taking this opportunity versus that opportunity. And you play like, well, this one will be better, and then it tanks. And I think that the exact same weekend you went and did a different event. Y'all did great, and we tanked.
When you did the state park.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, like, well, this last weekend, you know, the Caverns called to come and I couldn't. I was already booked for this event. And I was like, oh, you know, it's tempting, but I'm glad I stayed with the event I did because it did really, really well.
Yeah. Same with us. Like we turned it down and then we did really good where I'm glad like that we didn't change our plans. Like, you know, it is about making the money too, but it's also like being dependent for those people because that event, they have been good for us that was the third event we had done with them and it turned out really good. And it was like, you know, important not to let them down.
You don't bag on people and because that'll get you a bad name fast.
Well, that band contest, it was a thing where you had the coordinator. The coordinator, it turned out we were asked by the band director to come, but who was coordinating was the band backers, and they had not talked between them. And we find out at the last minute that we're just planning on doing beverages. We're just going to go do beverages.
Also, just take the boba trailer and just do boba teas, and as a fundraiser for the band.
And all of a sudden, we find out there's a boba trailer there that just does boba.
The exact same thing.
Yeah, the exact same thing that the band backers had asked to come. And then here we were.
But it worked out because the band director called and told me, he's like, hey, you know, let you know. So we pivoted. And instead of taking the boba trailer, I took the food truck. And I'm really glad I did. It worked out great. And I still gave them a good sized donation. And everybody's happy. It worked out great.
It ended up working out great.
They just got to have some communication.
Communication with the coordinators and everything. I mean, and it's hard to learn to say when to say no or to which ones to say yes to. Or
well, even if an event coordinator is communicating with us, they're not communicating with other staff because we've had the exact same situation where the event coordinator booked us for an event, and then another employee of the place booked another food truck, and it was the same exact menu, and we had no idea each other was going to be there, and it wasn't a very good turnout for us. But
Yeah.
that's just.
And that was the third time I gave that place a try. So
So they're done.
they're done.
I think next year, I want to look at more bigger weekend festivals, like more like 2 and 3 day weekend festivals. Like I like to do the Cornbread Festival over in South Pittsburgh, and I don't know if I can get in, but I'd like to do maybe Pilgrimage up in Franklin if I can get in. Again, one of them, the application process was like, oh, attach all the news articles, magazine articles about your truck. I was like, I don't have any.
How do we get there?
I don't have any newspaper articles about me.
Start writing our own
I'm
newspaper
gonna
articles.
write. So between now and next summer, I got to go talk to the newspaper and see if they'll come feature me in an article. So create some of my own media. But if I could do, because those big festivals are where the money is, and I don't want to leave my hometown crowd though, and so I'm gonna do roadside in town at least for the month of November, 1 day a week, and see if I have not been consistent at all on doing roadside here in my community. People don't know when I'm open, they don't know where to find me. I get it, so I'm gonna be real consistent through November, maybe December, and set up 1 day a week and see if I can build that local base back up, because I'm counting on that to get me through the winter.
Yeah, you got to find a balance of the roadside and the events. And
I don't want to give up the roadside, but I don't want to depend on it either.
We are in we are in rural Tennessee.
Yeah.
Our population per acre is small, and for us to find the people, we've got to branch out and travel a little bit further than may feel comfortable, or where it really becomes a visit. This worth my drive to come out there. But the 3 day events, especially if they have power available, I mean that makes things a lot.
Power, water, gray water.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna leave I can't leave my trailer there if they don't have power.
Yeah,
I mean I'd have to come home. But yeah,
but then that makes you weigh whether or not you want to take an event like that. If it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, especially if it's up and over the mountain, do you really want to have to pull that there and back every night?
No, right.
Because it's wear and tear on that truck.
Yeah.
It's hard on that truck going over the mountain. I mean, just where we went over the weekend, rolling hills. That's hard on that
up and down.
Yeah. It was, you're gearing down all the time every time you hit a hill, and you're wondering about your transmission. I'm abusing that transmission. Don't want to have to pay a $5,000 transmission repair. All of a sudden, any profit we made for the year just disappeared all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But if I could get one good 3 day event a month for like April through October, because that's kind of the time, April through November maybe. If I could get one good 3 day event a month, then I don't have to depend on roadside all the time. I'll still do my roadside, but I don't have to depend on it.
That's what I was telling him. Like one good event per month really will help a lot. But
2
I
or
want
3 good events a month would be nice.
Even better. But I mean, I was telling him, but I have to stay true to my roadside. Like my Wednesday locations I set up every week, I wasn't there for 2 weeks, and then I came back, and like they didn't know I was going to be back. I posted and let them know that I'm going to be there, but I kind of think that hurt me a little bit because it was a difference, and they didn't know I was back or whatever. So it's just kind of
barbecue truck next to you. This last week.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm gonna start setting up there too. So I'm gonna have 2 roadsides a week that are local. So once I get all that finalized and security approval and all that, I'm gonna start being out the base. And so between that and then setting up just for my local people, just to keep that local contact, knowing it's not gonna be a killer day, I just do lunch at least and keep that local contact and my customers here who know me.
That's what my Wednesday location is, the base. But like the Thursday, I want to start being at the Tractor Supply more. But like, like this week, we won't make it to the Tractor Supply because we'll be somewhere else.
Right.
But like, I wasn't, it's just the way it is sometimes. You just gotta do what's gonna keep you afloat, like for sure.
Yep. And it's a struggle. It's a balance between big events where the money is and
finding your people,
small things, supporting good causes, and keeping your local customer base in our own community. It's a real balance. but our people's out there. We just have to. They have to know where we are. And
Yeah.
I guess that's what I haven't done a good job on locally is them knowing when I'm going to be set up. Nowhere. Because I got people here. I got my people. I just don't always see them because they don't know where I'm at.
Yes, that's it. Like they don't ever know. Like we met new customers this weekend. Like they never knew of us or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's just like, because I'm not out enough
Yeah.
for people to see me.
Yeah.
So I just got to start doing it more because that's when we don't have these big festivals through the winter, that's definitely going to keep us going.
Right. And some catering. I'm
Mhm.
counting on maybe getting some more catering gigs, hopefully this winter. And between the two roadsides and catering.
Catering's definitely where it's
Make
at.
it
We have
till
a few
April.
booked. I would like to have a few more, but
Mhm.
we do have some.
I've got one lined up so far, but I'm just starting, just getting into it. So, any last thoughts, husbands?
No, not really. Just a lot of hard work. Like this weekend, I had to do something extremely dangerous, but it was during the rush, and we were about out of gas in the generator, and I had to learn how to fill a generator while it ran and not set the world on fire.
I'm glad you didn't blow us up. I'm very thankful you didn't blow us up.
Wait, you're not supposed to do that?
That's what I was gonna say. I've never not put gas in the generator.
I always put it in there while it's running.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm glad nobody has blown up.
Yeah. But no, I mean,
It must not be too dangerous.
food
Y'all
truck,
do, you know.
food truck work is rewarding, but it is work, and I hope some people can maybe take an appreciation for how much work it really goes into it. And sometimes they may see prices on the food truck menu board that might think that they think is too high, but there is a ton of hours in the background that I don't think people understand.
Right, right. Tammy, I'm still waiting on them to say how much they enjoy spending time with us on the food truck. I haven't
right?
heard
That was supposed to be
yet.
their number one thing.
I haven't
I
heard
want to
that
spend
yet.
time with you guys. It's all about making y'all happy and spending time with you.
That's right. That's right. Something we can do together. Right. All
Y'all
right.
failed.
Well, I think that'll wrap it up for tonight, episode 6.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week.